What's going on, y'all? Man, check this out. We got this video right here from the Young Turks. Now, I've been listening to them lately, and they are totally sounding like they really are leaning Republican. Now, I know Anna, she probably won't admit it, but I bet you she voted for Trump. And she say she didn't vote for nobody, but I don't believe that. Now, if you listen to channels like these, they try to act like they're really in the middle, but for the most part, they really more lean to the left. But if you've been listening lately, her and Chank, man, they've been sounding like they're sick of the Democrats. And it's not just them, it's a lot of us in this country. In this video, they're going to be actually talking about more so voters in California. But when you look at the whole map and you realize what's been going on, everybody in this country has become disenchanted, don't want anything to do with the Democratic Party, period. People are sick of them. The agendas that they push are not for the American people. It's usually for specific groups, and those specific groups have nothing to do with the values of this country. People are just tired of it. When you see what's going on with the map, like I usually show people this map right here, when it boils down, this is just the counties. This is when you realize that the map is almost red. People in California, for example, have flipped to Republican. Now, they didn't get the whole state to turn blue, but just to get millions of voters to turn Republican in a blue state like California, that says something. And then you hear the Democrats sit up here and say, or the speculation is that they're going to run Kamala again? Really? They don't get it. Why would you run Kamala again? We don't want Kamala. We didn't want her the first time, and we don't want her the next time. We don't want Democrats, period. Y'all have bad policies. So y'all can kill that talking point about, oh, she was black, oh, she was a woman, or whatever y'all wanted to say. That myth was busted. Nobody want anything to do with the Democratic Party. Like I said before the election, I honestly believe that they're not going to win the next few cycles. I believe that with everything in my heart. Especially if they say that they're gonna run Kamala again, especially if they're gonna stick to the same policies. Nobody wants the Democrats. They got bad policies. They don't do anything for the American people. The same things that they try to act like the Republican Party is doing to the American people, it's actually the Democrats. They're the ones that's getting a lot of money from corporations. It's them. Yes, both sides are doing it, but the Democrats act like they don't do it at all. When that's a lie. And we know this. Now let's watch this video.
Now that the election results are finally in California, a state that takes a notoriously long time to tally everything up, Golden State Democrats are a little worried about a clear right-wing shift among voters who used to be dependable Democratic voters. Now, it's not necessarily a right-wing shift. It's more that these are voters who aren't showing up to cast their ballots for Democrats anymore. And they also made some surprising congressional gains.
Now, why would people, especially Democrats, not even show up when you had an election where Trump was trying to be the president and these people hated Trump? So you got people not showing up who are Democrats? That says a lot about them. Like I said, their own people are even getting tired of them. They may say, well, you know what? I don't like Trump. I'm not going to vote for Trump, but I don't want to vote Democrat no more either. So I'm going to sit this one out.
Despite what we've noticed with some of these typical Democratic voters staying at home. So let's get into the details. First, important to know that Trump flipped 10 counties red, and the state GOP picked off 3 legislative seats despite being vastly outspent. Okay, so that's some of the evidence that there's been a little bit of change.
And that goes to show you Kamala was wasting all that money. Didn't she spend over $1 billion and got nowhere? She was spending money on what I used to say was those damn concerts that they was giving to black folks, which should have been an insult to my people. That so-called black lady, who I know in my heart ain't black, is sitting up here giving us concerts trying to get our vote. They want to entertain us for a vote. Don't give us anything to vote for, just give us entertainment. That is an insult. And you still have folks talking about they wanted to vote for it. Ridiculous.
In California, which is a deep blue state. So the biggest shift to the right is seen among Latino voters in the state, which is a huge blow to the Democrats, clearly. Historically, Democrats had been able to solidify support among Latino voters in California thanks to backlash over a previous proposition. It was known as Proposition 187. And that was an initiative that was targeting immigrants in the country illegally. And that moved Latino voters decisively toward the Democratic Party. However, now polling suggests that the Prop 87 era is over. And Latino voters, unsurprisingly, are concerned about affordability in a state like California. High tax.
Not only are they concerned about being able to pay for things and affordability, but some of these people, what they don't want to point out is the legal immigrants, the people who actually went through the system, waited years to finally become citizens, are now watching folks come across the border, getting the same things that they get, even more, and they just skipping the line. And they thought they was doing a good thing by voting for the Democrats. And you like, damn, how is that possible? It's little stuff like that that the Democrats don't take into account. That's why Latino voters flip.
Taxes, high housing prices, and they feel that the Democratic Party hasn't done enough to help them with this. So a post-election poll conducted by a Democratic pollster named David Binder found that affordability and high cost of living in the state were the preeminent concerns among California's Latino voters. More than 3/4 of respondents said that California state government policies made prices much higher or somewhat higher. 53% disapproved of how the government is addressing the economy, including jobs and the cost of living. And guys, I can't emphasize enough how much resentment starts to build in a state where taxes are very high, but you also experience your quality of life diminish year after year after year. And you also see that you have less and less buying power because of, there's inflation throughout the country, but that inflation is even more pronounced in a state like California, especially when it's tied to housing prices.
Exactly. You have that as an issue. Then in places, I want to say it's like Nevada, where they're giving immigrants a better rate to afford a house, that they don't even give the actual people, the citizens, that. Like, that's an insult. I see my quality of life going down. Yes, somebody who came over here illegally, skipped the line, they getting better rates, better housing, free stuff on top of all of that. I can't vote for that party no more. I won't do it. And as you see, other people are taking a stand and saying, I can't do it. But once again, like I said, the Democrats, they don't see it.
Yeah. So look, there's an oddity here of the Democrats picking up 3 national seats in California. We'll get to that in a second, and I have a couple theories on that. But overall, the Democrats got their clock cleaned in California. And so when we talk about why, it's super important that we're honest with ourselves, because if we're not, we'll just keep making the same mistake, and the biggest state in the country will go more and more Republican. My God, if the Republicans capture California, it's over. It's over nationally completely. And we're not.
It's over. I was telling some of my friends, I said, if the Republicans ever get California, it's over. It's over. They won't win another election for shit. I may be in my 60s by the time they win another election. I don't see it now. They got too many bad policies.
Close to that now,
no.
Okay? So Adam Schiff, who was, in my opinion, a terrible candidate, ran against Steve Garvey, who had almost no money, and he still beat him by 19. But 19 is closer than what normally happens, especially because Garvey had no money at all, right? And so you see this red wave coming through the counties, affecting the state legislature, et cetera. And so when you ask them why they're going in this direction, the economy is a big part of it.
Right.
Like, so, and to me, the most critical stat, I don't know if you were gonna get to this, Anna, but Trump only picked up 75,000 votes in California in this election. But Kamala Harris, the Democratic leader, lost 1.8 million votes from Joe Biden.
Yes, that's
Okay.
That was a trend in other states as well, other blue states. It wasn't just California. It was a lot of places that were saying, shit, I might as well sit at the house, because they didn't like Kamala. For one, like I said, the bad policies, and two, she wasn't a good candidate. And then let's not forget that they just threw her in there. Nobody voted for her. And she just made it seem as if she was the chosen one. And they wanted us to believe that she was the chosen one. But it goes to show you that the American people are not that stupid. You can't play games like that with us. You may get over a time or two, but when it's crunch time, the people in this country we usually make the right decision.
true. Yep.
And so what that shows you is not that the people woke up in California and were like, oh my God, I think Trump and the Republicans are so amazing and they're wonderful and we're now all Republicans. No, but they woke up and said, the Democrats haven't done something for me in so long that no, I'm not gonna go vote for you because I have to, or it's my moral duty, or you're gonna yell at me. No, you didn't deliver, so I'm not.
Right. I hate to keep stopping it, but that's how they wanted, especially black people, to feel. It's your moral duty. You need to vote for us. Why are you voting for anybody else but us? What did Biden say? That one election, he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like, what? Nigga, is you crazy? If I don't vote for you, I ain't black. Oh, that's a good reason to vote for somebody. That just turned me off. I definitely won't be voting for you. Even with him saying that, she still lost 1 million more votes in that state than he did. So that goes to show you she was just a bad candidate all the way around.
Voting for you.
That's exactly right. Yes. So Harris got 1.8 million votes less than Joe Biden did in 2020 in the state of California. And so, look, a lot of this has to do with people who just didn't feel motivated to show up and vote. Some people, like myself, did show up and vote, but I did not vote for either presidential candidate. And so huge swaths of Latino voters specifically decided, I'm not gonna vote for a presidential candidate here. And overall, there was a 9-point drop in voter turnout in the state. Now, a Republican consultant by the name of Mike Madrid says, I really want people to understand that the lack of voting, the lack of civic engagement is in and of itself a political statement. I totally agree with that. He continues. They finally left the bad relationship where this person is telling them over and over, I understand you, I get your needs, I hear what you're telling me, but then does not produce over and over and over again. Now they're finally saying, you know what, I'm out. And then the final.
Right. Right. They kept coming every election cycle with these promises. Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna forgive this. We're going to make your life better. We're going to lower prices. Only to come to find out that they don't do any of these things. And then they give us these fake numbers about, oh, the economy is doing so great. Well, I'm the one that's going to the store seeing these prices go up. How is the economy doing so great? You telling me inflation is down? How? I just spent more on groceries for nothing. I got a couple of items and I spent like $100. See, that's how far out of touch they are. They can't even see it because they got so much money that they've been taking from corporations and people is putting in their pockets. And, you know, like I always say, they go to the store, they don't check and see what the price of the gas is. They just pull over to a gas station and fill it up. Me and you, we always look Or I might have an app on my phone and say, okay, it's 3 cents cheaper down the road. I'll just go down there. And then when I go pump the gas, I only got 20, 30, 40 bucks. I'm going to just, that's where I'm going to stop at. I'm not going to wait till it clicks. I don't got enough money to sit there and wait until the pump just clicks. And then, okay, I'm done. My car is full. I'm on a budget.
Final statement from Mike Madrid is, in many ways, that's worse for Democrats. And this is so true. They really do have a hill to climb here, because they're not going to be able to get those voters back until they establish trust. So there's a really big burden on them, especially when the primary driver of affordability is housing. It's not like you can solve this by the midterms. And so this piece focuses on the uphill battle for Democrats in the state of California leading into the 2026 midterm elections. And by the way, in 2026, California is electing a new governor, thank God. So we'll see how that all plays out. But there are the ballot initiatives as well, because I think that's where it's become abundantly clear.
I think Newsom is going to lose. I think he's going to lose. I think once they see that, then the writing on the wall is really going to be clear. Because those folks in that state are tired of him as well. They're sick of him.
That voters in California have reconsidered their more left-wing positions on certain issues. So California voters actually approved 8 out of the 9 general election ballot measures endorsed by the state's Republican Party. The 9th, they just remained neutral on, and that was the one that would amend California's state constitution to protect gay marriage. Also, Prop 36, which imposes stricter penalties on some theft and drug crimes, easily passed with 70% of voters in favor of it. And that reversed a decade-long trend in the state of California that embraced criminal justice reform and basically went against the more tough on crime policies.
Yeah, so when they ask folks, why you either went in Trump's direction or Republican direction or didn't vote, the 2 things that stood out by far the most were Democrats don't deliver. What have we been telling you on the show for 20 straight years? You got to deliver. If you don't deliver, at some point you're going to lose these folks. And you can scream at them all you want. Oh, if you're a Latino, you must vote Democrat. Well, not anymore. They don't feel any obligation to. Number 2 reason was crime. And what did we tell you over the last 2 years? Crime, right? Yeah. And a lot of folks yelled at us and said, no, let's all pretend it doesn't exist. You can pretend all you like. The voters actually feel it or they don't feel it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I also want to point out, especially when it comes to black folks. They always try to make it seem like we don't like cops and we don't want cops. And the first thing some of these niggas do is if somebody break in their house, what they do? They call the cops. That's the first thing some of these niggas do. When they get in a bind, what's the first thing they do? They call the cops. But they want you to believe that we don't care for the cops, when it's a lot of people that's in our families that are cops. I know a couple in my family that's cops right now. I have nothing against cops. You know why? Because I don't commit crimes. People who don't like cops are people who are out here doing shit. Of course, you have bad actors. You have a few bad cops that do bad things, but overall, a lot of these people aren't bad people. They played their game with us for a long time. But then that one took a turn for them. And now people don't buy that anymore either.
And it's not about just right-wing narratives or messaging, et cetera, because what was the equivalent of Prop 36 to increase penalties was tried 2 years ago and it didn't, I think 4 years ago, and it didn't work because people didn't feel crime. Now they feel the crime and they're like, oh yeah. So look, 9 counties go to Trump, 8 out of 9 ballot measures goes to the Republicans, including the most important one, Prop 36, to increase penalties. As Anna pointed out, 7 out of 10, not close.
8 out of 9.
No, 7 out of 10 voters on Prop 36.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, you're right.
And that's in a massively Democratic state, right? Mm-hmm. So now when you go to the oddity of the Democrats who won the national seats, congressional seats, as the red wave was taking over California otherwise, So my theories on that are, number one, none of the stories talked about it, but we always talk about it in the red states, and we never talk about it in the blue states, even though people acknowledge, oh, the blue states do it too, which is gerrymandering. So I don't know how much of a factor that was, because all of the articles are religiously avoiding it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that actually, real quick, because I looked into it. But before I do, I have to give you this. I've never read a quote that resonated with me more than this one does, so I'm gonna read it, okay? So Jessica Milan Patterson, who's the chairperson for the state Republican Party, says that the voters' approval of things like Prop 36 was a sign that voters were increasingly agreeing with her party on ideas that the first step to bring them over to GOP candidates and eventually identifying as Republicans themselves. That's not the part that I completely agree or resonates with me. This one does. You don't get red-pilled overnight. It's the issues that affect your everyday life first, and then you connect them with people, and then you connect it with a party. That is so true, and that is what I was trying to get across to people. When you're affected day to day by quality of life issues, and all you hear from the Democratic Party is shut up, no, it's not happening, and if it's happening, it's not that big of a deal.
Right, because that's what they've been telling us. They've been saying you need to shut up. That's not happening. When people come out and say, what is going on? Y'all said y'all was gonna fix this and fix that, and it's not fixed. It's gotten even worse. And then they come right out and they say, well, we've like they have Kareem Jean-Pierre. Well, the president, he's done such a great job and he's gotten prices to come down. What prices? He's gotten this to come down. We've taken the necessary steps to improve your lives. And his study shows, I don't give a damn about a fucking study. Fuck a study. I know what's going on when I walk out this house. People don't buy the bullshit anymore. They can't feed us that crap. I don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. And it shows. And that's why we voted their asses out. And we need to keep voting their asses out. If you're going to do stupid shit, then you're not going to get our vote.
Man, that really does red pill people. It builds resentment toward the party. And I really think that Democrats need to pivot away from that, because they're gonna keep losing if they think that that type of treatment of voters, that type of disrespect toward voters is gonna get them anywhere.
So look, I do something that apparently not a lot of other people in politics or media do. I talk to normies, people who don't follow politics and news religiously, right? And so in California, whenever you talk to normies and you ask them about Biden, what's the first thing they would say? Too old. Every single person, Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter, because they all have eyes. And so if you're not watching Morning Joe and having him brainwash you every morning about, no, he's young and dynamic, you're gonna see Biden once, twice and go, he's way too old, what's he doing running for office, right? But in the case of California, specifically in this topic that we're talking about, every single normie said crime's out of control. We're worried, we're scared, we're nervous. I had a friend that had this happen to, I had this that happened to that. So you see it in the stats, you see it in the anecdotes, you see it in every single normal person that you talk to. So when our side said no, they're all being nervous Nellies for no reason. They're imagining it. What it did was it doubled down on their anger towards Democrats. Because they said, number one, I'm angry at you because there's crime and you're not doing anything about it. And number two, when you gaslight me and tell me there is no crime, then I'm starting to get mad at you, right?
Yep.
And so that's when the red pilling happens.
Yeah.
So we're trying to block that, stop that from happening. And you've seen some of the fights that have happened on our side. But so let me get back to why the Democrats is the national level one in California, because one is partly gerrymandering. Anna, you said you were gonna get into that. I don't know if you've got more on that. Secondly, we had way more money than the Republicans did in California. So we were not only able to spend more money on ads, but we got out the vote better. We did same day registration. And some of these we barely won by like 800 votes and 160 votes, et cetera. And so we did a good job with that and had more money. But finally, the issues mattered, because none of them ran on democracy. None of them ran on what the Biden and Kamala Harris ran on.
Correct.
They all ran on three major things. One is get prices down, okay? Like kitchen table issues, economic issues, Number two, abortion. Abortion made a huge difference in California, and it made people reluctant to vote for Republicans on the national level because we know abortion's not getting taken away in California.
Yep. let me let it play. I'm gonna let him finish what he was saying.
But we're worried it might get taken away nationally if you send the wrong people to Congress. By the way, California voters, that's super rational. Way to go. You voted at the local level in the way that you want, but at the national level, you did the right thing by voting for Democrats so your abortion rights don't get taken away, in my opinion. And lastly, and this was super important, they all ran on pro Prop 36.
Yeah, they did.
They all said, let's increase the penalties for crime, and they won. So they were able to take that wave of Prop 36, and instead of trying to fight against it, it would have washed them out. They joined it so that they could actually win, because they were, not because they're bad guys, but because they were actually addressing what their voters wanted.
Exactly, that you're exactly right about that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it.
Right. And what I was gonna say is, I've even talked to a couple of, females. And before the election, it was mostly guys talking like this, like, oh yeah, I'm a Trump supporter, I'm gonna vote Republican, or I'm not gonna vote at all. Now I'm actually seeing and hearing some women tell me that, yeah, like they don't agree with the Democratic policies. They understand that, yes, the Republicans aren't trying to take away abortion. They just don't want people just willy-nilly getting abortions when if you just having unprotected sex all the time, you shouldn't just be out here being able to get an abortion. Yeah, it should be special cases where you can get abortions. They understand that now. When you hear that and you realize that a lot of women are Democrats, the trend is just ticking down for the Democrats. They're losing. Once they lose women voters, it's a wrap. Let alone California, just women voters, period. It's a wrap. You can kill everything you ever thought about the Democrats because the women make or break their party. They make or break their party. Everything revolves around women. And that's another issue. A lot of men were sick of that as well. It's not being chauvinistic. It's just that look where your focus is. You leaving all kind of people off the table. You're not worried about men at all. Let alone just the country, but just men. Y'all just forget about the men. Just toss them to the side. We ain't nothing. And you paid for it. And you're going to continue to pay for it. But man, I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate y'all watching this video. If you don't mind, give me a like. Make sure you give me a subscribe. And like I say, I haven't been doing a lot of these politics videos because once the election happened, a lot of things got a little bit redundant. And I was just waiting for Trump to get in office so I can continue to make more of this content for y'all. So once he does get in office, then everybody is going to start having things to say. And then I'll come on and I'll make my little commentary about it and bring you content pertaining to different subject matters of the day when it comes to politics and give my takes on them. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all coming through. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Peace.